G'day and welcome to Supreme Commander Forged Alliance. This is the second game in the COVID-19 versus Humanity series organised by Millenwise for Australian New Zealand players, with a few exceptions apparently. And this time we are playing on adaptive point of reason. Saipier already noticing I'm in danger, yep, because you are pretty much right in the firing line. So who do we have here? We've got the forces of the evil virus represented by the Cybran players up here. We have Millenwise in the back, then Fergus, DaGingah, ProjectZero, Boxeroo and Angel of Death. And down here, representing the forces of humanity, we have Judah in UEF, my dog Abe in Arran, Sir Thomas playing UEF, kingweewee, the not funny at all name, in going Seraphim, Saipier going UEF, and Arran going Seraphim as well. So let's get started. Let's move the game speed up a little. The first set of combat is probably going to be these two players because they are the closest. We've got pretty much dedicated air stations here, where they've got a bit more access to some mass off the coast. And then we'll probably see further aggression along those sort of lanes. And let's see how the air players help each other out. Looks like Saipier is getting his first naval factory down. Meanwhile, Angel is going more for taking up. Seems to be about equivalent army sizes there, and number of mixers. So I've got a first engineer coming down there, and looks like we've got a sneaky Zooey heading up here, probably to deny that island. It's an interesting tactic. Let's see if it's going to be spotted. Meanwhile, ProjectZero going for a multi-role here. Looks like Fergus is going a combination of air and navy, and Sir Thomas sticking to his traditional air, getting a transport out to drop off some engineers. Millenwise just getting to do the same. Looks like Sir Thomas is slightly ahead there. We've got a scout out for Boxer. Doesn't seem to be encountering any resistance as yet. Likewise, scouting for Fergus. So scouts definitely out first for the COVID-19 team. We've got an early beacon in to do a bit of damage. That should be able to do a lot of damage on the build capacity here, and starts work on that. Angel still doing mechs upgrades, gets his first frigate out, and got a sub in from Saipier as well. So who was this? Can't remember. My dog Abe, thank you, has edge built down onto these factories. Possibly just sent an engineer down, but getting further naval factories online there. That sounded like an early torp bomber, but I doubt it. a force building up here. That's definitely edge built factories there, and the frigate coming in to start help take out anything possible here. Commander in the water, but using the reclaim to do some damage on the attacking units, but pretty much in danger from those subs, so he's getting out of there pretty quickly. We've got a bit of defense here, and looks like those subs will keep on working on that naval factory while the single Thunderhead is outclassed by the other frigates there. Engineers getting down trying to get a torpedo launcher, but the engineers being picked off fairly easily by the subs there. Angel coming back into the water to try and pick off some more things with reclaim, and looks like he's not going to be very successful there, but does at least stop further aggression. Meanwhile, we've got a line of Zuis coming across here, Zuis being tracked down and killed. No, that was a transport. Ooh, a transport drop being denied. That could have been quite punishing for Ginger's base there, and looks like Arran's navy is not for this world. So where are they going? We're seeing, ooh, there is a drop. Where's it going? Looks like it's going to come in there, with Arran having very little in the way of defense otherwise, and virtually no land units at all. It's hard to see how he's going to defend against that. And they will be super effective. Meanwhile, we've got an engagement here. The Tridents are being picked off by a torp bomber, which is going to find it a little difficult. We've got Boxer's Air Force coming in to try and pick them off, but they will have done a lot of damage to the build capacity there and to frigates. The beacon is a good frigate for picking off static things, but it just doesn't match the fire and agility of the Trident, so that will be difficult. Angel has been forced to retreat. He's also built the torpedo launcher on his commander, which is very interesting. I think it's going to be a big question to see, does he actually spend enough time in the water actually using that? The DaGingah has a very good navy coming forward to try and keep harassing my dog Abe, now being attacked by the torp bombers, and DaGingah sending his own air force to try and pick them off. We also have some subs from Saipier basically taking out the subs there, and then we'll merrily go to town on the units there if they're not careful. So the DaGingah is forced to retreat there. We're building up a bit of a navy here. Yes, looks like Fergus has finally realised there's no point leaving them sitting around there. He's going to take out the vulnerable mexes there. And Millenwise, with his customary naming mod for anything that does a bit of damage, is being brought in has brought in his torp bomber to try and harass kingweewee's navy, but he looks like he gets the Zooies down over onto the island. The commander is being brought back onto the land to pick those off, and they're just not moving. They should be really moving up much more, and the commander will easily be able to pick them off. Now, bad news, we have Salem plus a mermaid, which is going to make it very hard to target, even if you do have T2, say, the Exodus class, the destroyer or the cruiser. Here it's going to be very hard to even spot that, and you're really going to have to hope you can get in range of it. Your best hope is to try and pick off those that mermaid first, so that you've denied them cover. Torp bombers coming in from ProjectZero, doing very good work there. Looks like that's really going to make life difficult for my dog Abe down here. Meanwhile, DaGingah brings his navy in to try and pick off some of the navy being brought against him by Saipier, but gets driven back. Those subs are just going to be too good. We've still got that Salem class destroyer there. We've had a bit of a pushback from Fergus, having been pushed back by Arran, but still a very static engagement here. It'd be nice to send a harassing unit up to distract his forces to there. Looks like we have T3 air for both Sir Thomas and Judah, and bombers being brought in, which will have a bit of a trouble against even the Salem's fairly poor air. We have an Exodus now able to pick off things at range, and the question is going to be, how does he get to use them, because that is a lot of build power, but is it going to be enough? The Exodus, again, like a lot of Aeon offensive units, has one big powerful shot. If that misses, then you're just not doing the DPS. So it's great for attacking static things and land bases, but just doesn't have quite the navy capability. Of the more agile T2 Salems. So looks like Fergus is repositioning again. Possibly he was thinking, possibly there was a raid that I missed over here. Angel going for stealth on his commander with 2 vets, and we have ProjectZero's torp bombers being recalled. More Zooies being sent in. It's a nice idea, but I think at this point Zooies are really not going to get very far. Most frigates can pick them off fairly easily. So we've got 3 Salems and 1 Siren. The Siren is easily going to do a lot of damage to torp bombers and other T2 or other aircraft. Second Siren in the background, and those Salems are just really going to do a lot of damage to my dog Abe there. Looks like he's going to have to retreat fully behind Judah's shields. Got a naval engagement up the top here. That's called off. Looks pretty even. And these Salems are just going to make life very difficult for all concerned here. We have the Starlifter taking... Oh no, it's been spotted, and there goes my dog Abe. That's terrible news. And we have Millenwise has a strategic bomber out, so that's going to start doing a bit of damage here. So we're already one player down, and a pretty good player at that. Those Zuis providing pretty excellent sport, but not much actual protection from anything here. And the naval engagement here, Boxer having spotted a bit of a Zui push here, moves his navy back, but really isn't going to have a problem tracking those down. Thomas seems to have the better air force, and Millenwise is trying to build up here. Let's see what they're using it for. DaGingah coming in, trying to pick off mexes on the side here of Saipier's base. Probably having a little bit of problem with that terrain there. Just you can see those walls are going to give those artillery shots a bit of a problem. Now the big push from from Fergus coming down. How is that engagement going? We've got a drop here, and Judah is setting up some offensive units, defensive structures while trying to reclaim that. And this naval battle looks like it's going to go poorly for Arran. He's chasing those away, and that's a really great position. If you can chase the Cybran Navy, most of the Cybran Navy cannot fire backwards. It has excellent damage forwards, but when retreating it's useless. So you need to keep the pressure on, and Arran has retreated there and basically lost his entire navy there. This Tech 2 torp launcher won't get anywhere, unfortunately. Big air battle coming in here. Is Thomas going to be able to pick off Millenwise's air force? Is Millenwise going to focus on the torp bombers? Looks like Millenwise has tried to prioritise torp bombers and then changed his mind, and so Thomas gets a bit better of the engagement. The torp bombers still continuing to rain down missiles and torpedoes onto the hapless army here. Finally a siren comes in to take a few of those torp bombers out, but not before Millenwise's air force is pretty much completely obliterated. Finally doing a bit of damage to those last torp bombers before Sir Thomas sends his air force out to clean up the scraps. So lots of good reclaim here, which should make life good for Judah, who is starting the tactical nuke, an interesting option. Meanwhile, Fergus is just raining shells down on Arran's base. That looks really bad. There's almost nothing to be done there. and looks like Arran's commander is heading away. No, he's gone into the water here, possibly hoping that no one spots him. Fergus bringing his navy further down. Looks like Saipier is doing good work up here, starting to attack DaGingah's naval production with some good T2 destroyers in the mix, but he's facing a pretty large quantity of subs there, and that might have problems. He's also got Salem's inbound now, which he's had to divert around, and overall, plus some Wagners being sent in. They've been noticed, but they're not going to be able to be picked off in time before they get up onto land and start doing some damage to Saipier's base. Meanwhile, Fergus doing a lot of damage to Arran's base. Arran basically retreating with as much of his build capacity as he can. Fergus has pretty much ruined that completely. Why this hovering set of interceptors? All you're going to do is run them out of fuel. But another little push of some Yenzines and some Zuis to try and take out some of Boxer's production, but a horrible place to park them, where they're not doing any damage at all, and the Zuis are just going to be picked off. So it looks like humanity is recovering a bit here, but they've still basically got huge problems. Fergus's navy coming in. We have navy, torp bombers brought in to try and do some damage here. Is Fergus's air force going to be brought in? No. Sir Thomas spots them first and pretty much obliterates them in one pass. So there is no backup. Those torp bombers are going to have a lot of fun targeting all of that navy, and the navy is forced to retreat. So that's a bit of a save. Good work with Sir Thomas bringing in that defense there. Possibly could have kept on doing damage there. There's no point in retreating. We've got Boxer going for a T3 upgrade there, and he's got good T2 production. He's got another naval force being sent out here. Angel has a good force and a very good production, and it's starting to look pretty good for COVID-19. Torp bombers still doing work here, but being recalled, and a moment of quiet and calm. Saipier going for T2 on his commander. Continued force here. Interestingly, kingweewee is still trying to amass forces for that front push there, and is not trying to defend his territory. Meanwhile, Arran pushed back here, is trying to go for Raz on his commander, which is a nice idea. Scouting incoming from Millenwise. What is he hoping to find out? The scouts will be shot down fairly quickly. What? No air defense at all over Sir Thomas's base, which is very interesting indeed. I bet he gets that set up fairly quickly. We've got a line of engineers here just hoovering up mass as fast as Judah can use it. He's got a nuke in the clip. What is he going to do with it? What can he do with it? Where can he hit with it? Let's see if we can find out. Let's just go back to ProjectZero, select that commander, and I don't think I can actually select the nuke, of course. So, oh well, I'm just going to have to find out the old-fashioned way by watching the game. Now, Fergus and DaGingah and Angel are coming in, I think, before Saipier noticed that the forces were amassing against him, and he was quite right to worry about that. And that's going to be very difficult to defend against. He's got some destroyers from Arran, the last of Arran's navy being brought around here, but mostly what looks like mostly Zuis and a couple of T1, and the that navy is not going to survive very long. Trying to get up a torp launcher here, but look at it go. As soon as the Salems notice it, it is just gone. We've got some torp bombers come in from DaGingah. We've got a massive bomber, attack bomber and torp bomber fleet here being decimated by Millenwise, who looks like he's got the lead on Sir Thomas now for Air Force, and Sir Thomas's Air Force, which should have been doing such good work over here, has really been left to do nothing over on the corner there. Saipier being forced to give up T3 and retreat in the face of a lot and a very ambitious naval factory. I think he's got T3? No, he's only got T2. A very ambitious T3 naval factory here, which would have been good at long range, but probably just a bit too early. Is going to be finished off. Might as well cancel that, because you're just not going to get any build out of it, and try to save your resources as much as possible. Angel finally going for T2. Right, bold move. Got some floating ensigns coming in to try and take out this navy, but it's looking pretty bad for Saipier. Meanwhile, Boxer coming in with his own, he's hunting down that ambassador from Sir Thomas, and that air force is then going to be picked off by Sir Thomas's, and looks like Boxer's air force is going to be punished by that. We've got some strategic bombers inbound, but unfortunately taking out mostly T1 units, so that's going to be difficult. We've got engineers, and looks like that was the nuke from Judah. He's got, yep, so that's done a lot of damage to, unfortunately, to Angel of Death's base. Looks like he didn't have any TAC missile defense there, which was a bit of a shame. But I think he's more than made up for it by the punishing naval force here that's now probably going to wreck kingweewee's base. So, more navy coming down from Fergus. Millenwise increasing his air superiority. He's got support commanders out. Angel, where is Angel going? He's taking an unusually circuitous route to get under shielding there. Not quite sure why, but yep, kingweewee has finally been spotted and taken out there. And I think that was no, that was Judah being taken out, probably by a strategic bomber. but I completely missed that, so I'm very sorry for missing what took him out. Comments, leave me a note in the comments section if you know what it did. What did it? Torp bombers trying to pick off the Navy here. So we're down to Saipier here with almost nothing. Arran with slightly less than nothing because he's got the Raz. And Sir Thomas in a pretty defended position here, building Atlantis. An interesting move, a pretty devastating submarine option. There goes Saipier, unsurprisingly taken down by a Corsair snipe under the cover of everything else. Millenwise making good use of his air force, and Sir Thomas pretty much having lost all air superiority at all. Gets a couple of one lone ASF out. Meanwhile, we have Arran moving around here. Where is he going? He's kind of trying to get out of the way, but he's been spotted and thinks, oh, maybe I can get onto Sir Thomas's base. Can he get there in time? Now the interesting features of the terrain begin to show themselves. We've got two Atlantis here doing good work in their submerged form against the T2 Navy here, but you can see from the terrain that all of those ballistic trajectories are not taking into account the sides of mountains, which are just not going to let any shells in. So that's going to maybe do a little bit of damage. There goes Arran. Unfortunately, coming out of the water immediately opens him up to all of the land attack, and that's pretty punishing. One strategic bomber tries to do a bit of work here and gets denied, and it looks like Sir Thomas has a little bit of a tele-maser defense set up here, which is probably going to find useful. And really, otherwise, most of this navy is sitting there quietly puzzled as to why its shells aren't doing any damage. Millen coming in with more strategic bombers, having a hard time against those shields. Spy planes being brought in, and we've got support ACUs just reclaiming everything that they can get their hands on, whether or not it's dead. We've now got some Salems coming out of the water, and they're going to find the pathfinding that gets them up onto that ridge. That could be an excellent way of getting a force up there. Can they do it? The support ACUs being brought out onto land, and they will punish those pretty quickly. And look at that reclaim go. Just not a chance. And that was most likely a telemaser snipe that got completely denied. What a pity. Millenwise, your scouts flew over there. You should have seen that. I am bitterly disappointed in you. So Sir Thomas still perfectly alive, no problems at all, with a slightly damaged shield. Queues up a Fat Boy. An interesting option. It may have the same number of problems getting shells out as the rest of these things are having problems getting shells in. The support ACUs starting to build some triads and then ravagers to guard this entrance. And they've also got some short-range point defense. Can they hold off these Salems? That's going to be the big question. Salems are inside the shields now, and that Salem is going to not survive. That Salem is going to not survive. Looks like he's just got enough T1 and T3 point defense to be able to take out pretty much anything as it comes up that ramp. So that's a pretty difficult position. So Thomas still, for some reason, building Air Force and sending them off to be merrily slaughtered. Not quite sure why. He's also building torp bombers to be sent off somewhere else to also be slaughtered. It's looking pretty hopeless here, but I always admire someone that's got a couple of tricks up their sleeve, and the terrain here is definitely making things difficult for the invading force, and Sir Thomas could be a little bit smug here as the Cybran team think, how do we actually get in there? We've started work on that fat boy. How much can we get built? Meanwhile, there's a couple of upgrades going on, and looks like, interestingly, Fergus is going for the teleporter. Is he going to try teleporting in as well? Let's see. Has Millenwise not told him what went wrong? Maybe he's hoping that there was not enough defences taken out. Okay, so we've basically got this stalemate here. Possibly needs a few more shields, and the support ACUs are able to just walk straight through that fire and hoover up all of that mass. Their lovely, lovely mass. That support ACU retreating a bit to recover its health, but meanwhile the support ACUs are able to do pretty good work and just hoover up that mass. And the build capacity, you can see the fat boy, as soon as he gets a wreck in his sights, has an instant jump in build speed. So that fat boy actually does get completed. Does Sir Thomas have a nuke defense? We have a 1-3 in the clip there, so yes, that's not going to work either. The fat boy walks out thanks to ignoring all of the structures that might be in its way, and it might be able to get a little bit of damage out past those walls onto that navy. Let's see where he positions it. So he's probably positioning it here to take out that opposing navy here and punish anything foolish enough to try and make its way up the slope. Didn't work last time, and we're excellent. We're going for a Novax. So let's see if we can get that Novax online. Fergus has finished his teleport, but he doesn't seem to be doing anything with it. He's building a Liberator. Meanwhile, DaGingah is building a Soul Ripper. What other plans? We've got a bunch of Revenants, a large fleet of Air Force of Revenants being assembled here, hopefully to try and strike while Sir Thomas's shields are down. The Fat Boy being positioned slightly to get a bit more firing, a bit better firing solution. It's probably just not going to be able to reach those, just barely. This is going to be where positioning is key, and the support ACUs being brought out again. Looks like they're being sent in to hoover up some mass. Look at them go. T2 Rex just disappearing, and that Novax center is nearly complete. DaGingah trying a Corsair snipe, and Corsairs pretty much being taken down and falling in a massed heap to out in the sea there, with a bit of a scratch and a minor dent to the support ACU, but Sir Thomas is basically unharmed. Shield on half health. So Novax being launched. There it goes up into the sky. What's it taking out? Here is the second set of revenants. Can they find him? And that looks like it will be enough. Nice work. I love the getting the Novax out there, and a Fat Boy and the support ACUs in there to grab lots of mass. So a couple of people quit, but that is now one game all to in between the virus and humanity. So we'll have to wait for game 3, which I'll try to broadcast tomorrow night. Hope to see you then. Have fun. Bye.